to show you how to put the mixture together. Some things you're going to need before you get started. You're going to need a burner with a pot and a spoon. Something you don't really care about. Don't use your wife's favorite pot. Don't use a spoon from the kitchen. Just buy some cheap one from Walmart or something. You're going to need some mixing cups, which my kit will include. And you're going to need a funnel. I recommended one, like a jamming funnel, but you can get any metal funnel. Oh, this one's aluminum, and then cut the end off if you don't have enough opening. You want the opening large enough to fit inside the can. You're also going to need some sort of chopping grinder. This is a coffee grinder. It's got different settings: fine, medium, coarse. I actually just leave it on fine. It's got the option to hit the button and it automatically stops, but that's still not enough. The powder tends to get stuck under the blades, and let me see if I can get a better look. So when it grinds, it gets very fine and it gets underneath the blades, and then it's not really doing anything. So while you're grinding, you're going to want to shake it, tap it, shake it up and down, try to get it mixed as best as possible. I usually grind for a couple of times each for like a minute. And then you're going to need yourself some candle wax. This is from Walmart. Just unscented, regular white wax. Some sugar. And technical grade potassium nitrate. I got this on Amazon. I think it was like 2 pounds. Actually, no, it was more than that. It was like 5 pounds. You're going to want to store this in a cool, dry place. Potassium nitrate and sugar are both hygroscopic. They'll absorb water, and that will mess up your mixture. Once it's mixed with the wax, it's fine. I had one left out for a year, and that was actually the one in my test video. But I do plan on long-term storage by using like vacuum sealed, the bags that melt and pull vacuum. And then instead of Ziploc bags, because they still, they're not shut right, they still do leak. So maybe get one of those airtight cans that you can stick this in with the bag and store it like in a basement or something all year round. That way it doesn't absorb moisture. I didn't mention this before, but you're going to need a scale too. This was pretty cheap. I think this was either from Harbor Freight. I'm sure you can get one on Amazon for like $5. Any scale will do. So I'm going to turn it on. We're going to put whatever cup you end up using on the scale, and you're going to hit tare so it zeroes it out. So now we're actually measuring what we're putting inside the cup. So we're going to start with the sugar, and we're going to add 40 grams. I'm at 20.5. 34.3. 46, a little too much. Let's take a small chunk out. We're at 41.8. I like to be exact, as close as possible. We're at 40.3. All right, that's good. Wipe that off. All right, now we're going to weigh the potassium nitrate, which we're going to want 60 grams. That's 30.4. 47.6. 65.5. So we want 60. We want to take a little bit out. 63. 62. 60.2. Close enough. All right. Let's close that up. I hate these bags that they come with. Zip sucks. Got to get all the air out as much as possible. Stick it back in its shipping bag. Get the air out. All right, we can set that aside. So now we're going to need to do the wax. I need another cup. It's not zeroed in anymore, so let's hit tear, make sure it's 0. 0. So I got some leftover wax from another time I did this. So remove the sticker, and we want to get like a razor blade, and we're going to want to cut it up into chunks. And we need 35 grams. Let's see how much that chunk is. 33, that was pretty close. All right, so we need a little bit more. Cut some smaller pieces since we're getting close. That's 35.7. All right, good enough. All right, now that we got our ingredients, the potassium nitrate, 60 grams, the 40 grams of sugar, and the 35 grams of candle wax, non-scented. We're gonna pour the potassium nitrate into the grinder. I like these clear plastic cups because not much gets stuck to the sides. I used styrofoam and it didn't work out too well. A lot of stuff got stuck and I had to scrape it out. Get that all in there. All right, and then what I do is turn it upside down and I tap it. It'll work better if you hit it with like a screwdriver or the box cutter you use to cut up the wax. Gets everything into the cup out from underneath the blades. Turn and remove. Oh yeah, look at that. It's very powdery. That means that was a good blend. So now we're going to pour that back into one of our cups. Okay. All right, we're gonna remove that. So now it's ready to melt the wax. So before you do that, the kit includes this stand that I made. The ones that will be in the kit might be different, but this is 2 pieces of plywood, a hole cut through one, a Forester bit cut out into the bottom so that there's a relief, and then a nice hole to put the steel core rod in. So if you have a whole bunch of these, it's nice to have all of this set up, so you're kind of working like in an assembly line. The one in my test video, this is the exact can. I cleaned it out as best as possible. It can be reused. I would just get as much gunk out of there as possible. And that just sits into this fixture. It holds it nice and steady, so when you're pouring it in, it doesn't tip on you, because that happened to me once. But before that, we're going to install this expansion plug. This is also included in the kit. All right, so you just take the expansion plug, stick it in the hole in the bottom, hold the flange, and tighten the screw. What this is going to do is put a nice seal on the bottom, make sure that the wax doesn't seep through. So that just sits in the fixture nice like that. So now that we have that set up, put it over here. So we're going to start melting the wax. Make sure this is nice and clean. Oh, after doing so many of these, it's nice to every once in a while clean out the pot. This gets gunked up pretty easily. So you just heat it for a little bit and then wipe it away with a rag. It comes out pretty clean. And then same thing with the funnel. The funnel will get all gunked up, so I just put that inside the pot, turn it on, get it warmed up, and then wipe it out with a rag, and then whatever falls into the pot, wipe that out as well. So the wax takes a little bit, so we're just going to let that melt, and I'm not going to pour my mixture until the wax is fully melted. I don't want to do it simultaneously, because this is not the type of mixture that you caramelize the sugar. Not to say that that mixture is bad or it doesn't work, but from what I developed with these measurements and ingredients, to have that thick rocket-like smoke coming out the bottom, I've done this so many times and it comes out perfectly every single time. So if you follow the instructions exactly, you're going to have perfect results every single time. All right, now the wax is fully melted. Kind of looks like water in there. So now we're going to add our mixture a little bit at a time. That was actually a bit much. We're going to stir it into the wax. Maybe turn the burner off if it's too hot. You can kind of feel the mixture sticking to the bottom. If it's too hot, that means the sugar is going to start to caramelize, and we don't want that. Mix the rest of the mixture in. And what it's going to form is kind of a paste. Make sure you scrape the sides really good. Make sure the wax is really mixed in. But it's going to form kind of a wet, slurry paste. This is perfect. Get all that good stuff there. All right, now we're ready to pour. So now we got our fixture ready. Got our funnel ready. And the steel core rod. Now what you could also do is put a piece of tape around the nozzle of the threads of the can, and that should help position the funnel better. But we're gonna set the steel core rod right on top of that expansion plug. The screw goes all the way through and it kind of wobbles, but it's not gonna shift out of the center. So now we're just going to pour all of our mixture down the hole. Get as much as you can. That's pretty good for now. We're gonna need the spoon. So now hold the funnel and make sure everything goes down. Starts to dry pretty quickly, especially since the funnel is not heated. It cools down pretty much right on it. So you kind of want to do this right away. It's okay if it dries up in chunks when you pour the next batch. It's going to melt it again. But what we don't want is this core rod to be out of center. We want to keep the center concentric to the can, because that will help putting the fuse in. So now you can just let this air cool, and we're going to do another mixture. Now when the second mixture is done, we're going to stick it in the freezer, and that will allow us to use this fairly quickly after it's done. It takes about 45 minutes, a half hour, 45 minutes to cool down. But if you touch the sides, it's actually pretty hot. You can also move it back and forth to kind of get the mixture to level out, and that's it. Okay, so it's been in the freezer for a bit. I kind of forgot about it. I had to go cut the grass. So it's definitely dry now. So we can take the plug out of the bottom. We can take the core rod out through the middle, and you'll see that it's straight all the way through, and we're not going to have to drill. So let's take the plug out. Might have to hold the flange of the plug so it doesn't spin in place. Try not to do that too much, because then it eats away at the rubber. And then should come right out. All right, there's one end. Take the cap off, and the core rod comes right out. Now let's get a closer look. All right, so now we're gonna prepare the head, is what I call it. This is what's actually gonna pull the igniter to set off the smoke device. So this just screws into this. If the hole's a little tight, and then we're going to put the nut on. All right, tighten up by hand, and you can use a 15/16 socket. Hold the head. You don't have to go too extreme. It is plastic, so it will crack, but it is pretty solid. It's not going anywhere. If you want to waterproof it, you could put some silicone underneath the head. You can also put some silicone over the pinhole here and over here, and that should seal it. All right, next is the igniter. So this is the igniter from Skylighter. You can also get it on Invention Incarnate. He put together a kit with some instructions, and they work really well. They say to put 40% of the compound inside that cup, and they were not joking. If you put too much, it acts like a firework. So if you go to Invention Incarnate, I'll put a link in the description so you can go right to his videos and his link, and you buy the igniters here. This will not work without these igniters. I cannot ship these. I do not have a pyrotechnics license. So you have this copper tube here. It's got a flare on it. And then you have this nut. I call this the tube nut. You can't really see it, but it's got a tapered seat on the inside. So this goes down like this. So next, we're gonna feed the string from the igniter all the way through. Let me see if I can get a closer look. There we go, that's better. So now we're going to feed the string through the hole of this clevis here, and we're going to pull gently. We don't want to set this thing off right here. Make sure the rope doesn't get snagged in the groove of the copper tube. Then we want to feed it all the way back. So essentially this is just making a loop. All right, once you have it fed all the way through, you can start to tighten the nut. For the tube. Okay. And what we want to do is pull very gently until that seats just like that. So now what we want to do is take some super glue, and we want to glue the igniter to the end of the tube. Don't worry about using too much. It's going to get burned up anyways. Okay. Then what we want to do is glue the string onto the cardboard cup of the igniter. I'll get a closer look. So we want to glue that down. We might have to hold that down with our finger. Try not to get glue on your finger. You'll be gluing your finger to the igniter. And then once that dries, you're going to you're gonna snip the remaining piece of string right off at the edge of the cardboard cup of the igniter. I'm gonna put a little bit more super glue on that so it encapsulates the rope. Now we let that dry. Different glues take different time. I'm guessing with this glob it's probably going to take like 10-15 minutes to fully dry, maybe sooner. So once it's dry, we're going to snip that off. What we can start doing though is start making our 50-50 sugar potassium nitrate mixture. All right, so now I'm going to make my 50-50 mixture. We're not going to go crazy. We don't need that much. Because once the igniter is in there, it's going to take up a lot of the space. So first we got to turn on the scale and set it to 0 with the cup on. Okay, it already is. So I'm going to put in, I'll have this in the instructions. I'm going to put about 15 grams of sugar and 15 grams of the technical grade potassium nitrate. So you don't need multiple cups. You can use the same cup because we're at 15. So to double that, I'm going to go to 30. Do a little bit at a time so you don't have to take anything out, because then you would need 2 cups. All right, we're at 26. Need a little bit more. We're at 29.2, 30.2. I'm going to dump the whole spoon in there. So it actually stopped at 30.5. That's pretty good. Make sure to get the air out of the bag when you zip it back up. Okay, turn the scale off. All right, put your 50-50 mix in the grinder. And we're going to grind this just like we did before. That should be good. All right, here's our 50-50 mix. A little bit much, but I'd rather have enough than not enough. I don't want it loose inside. So now we just need to wait until this dries, and then we'll complete the smoke device. All right, that took longer than expected. I used a super glue that's it's a gel type, so whatever makes the super glue with makes it jelly-like makes it longer to dry, but it's fully dry now. So we can go ahead and feed this in. Screw carefully. All right. Now we can fill it with the 50-50 mixture. Made a bit much here. I might just put this in a bag, and hopefully no one thinks it's some type of illegal substance. So that should be enough. I'm gonna push the rest of this in. I don't want to pack it down too much. Might accidentally push the igniter through the cup, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna take a rag and wipe away the excess here. Get the whole bottom of this cleaned off. All right. Then I'm going to take an alcohol wipe and I'm going to wipe the bottom of this, get it all nice and clean. Basically, I'm wiping away where the sticker is going to go to block this off. Okay, let that dry for a few seconds. And that's it. You have finished a smoke device. Now, when you pull the ring on this, use your dominant hand because you're going to use that to throw it, and you're going to pull the ring. Try not to have your hand below the bottom. This does generate heat when it ignites. So, if anything, hold it like this, and you should be good.